You are watching the Commanders Report by Chat Sports, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Download the Prize Picks app today and play your first $5 lineup with code HMA. And if you win that lineup, you get $150 in additional lineups. And guys, the Washington Commanders are doubling down on probably their biggest mistake that they have made throughout the course of the 2026 offseason. And today we'll be breaking down what that is. And what that is, guys, is head coach Dan Quinn said today that the team has all the talent that they need currently on the Commanders roster when it comes to the center position. Now, if you've been watching this channel for the last several months, you guys know that I think the way this team has handled the center position this offseason has been this team's biggest mistake and has created a ginormous hole in the middle of the Commanders' offensive line that has even gotten more concerning, especially now that Laremy Tunsil, this team's rock at left tackle, is going to be out for probably the entirety of the 2026 NFL season. According to Quinn, Nick Allegretti, the person who is slated to be this team's starting center for week 1, will be out of practice again this week, will not participate in the joint practice versus the Baltimore Ravens on Wednesday, and will not participate in the preseason finale against the Ravens later this week on Friday evening. So listen, guys, if you weren't concerned about Nick Allegretti already heading into camp like I was, like I thought Nick Allegretti was one of the biggest question marks on this team heading into camp, you should really be worried about him now that he's moving positions, guard to center, position that he's never played in at the NFL level, and now he's really only participated in 2 practices in which he's gotten injured in both of them. You should be concerned about A, the durability, because he hasn't been able to stay healthy to this point, but then also B, kind of like the Terry McLaurin situation last year, center and quarterback is very similar to wide receiver and quarterback, because there's got to be a chemistry there, because you know the exchange is happening between those two players every single play, and it's absolutely unacceptable for those two to not have actual FaceTime and actual practice time together before we get things going week 1 versus Philadelphia. And now that Allegretti is going to be out this full week yet again, according to Quinn, that means at best he's only going to have 2 weeks to build up that chemistry with Jayden Daniels before the start of this season. And another announcement today at the center position, Dan Quinn announced that Matt Golban, the rookie out of Michigan State, will be moving back full-time to center after they moved him to guard inexplicably last week. I mean, I really don't know what this decision was last week from Dan Quinn to move Matt Golban, who played really well at center in the preseason opener versus Miami, by the way, to guard, when Julian Good-Jones has looked as bad as he has all throughout the preseason to this point. And even today at practice, Julian Good-Jones, who has been this team's stand-in at number 1 center while Nick Allegretti's been out with injury, was taking number 1 center snaps today with Jayden Daniels, and that's an absolute joke because Julian Good-Jones might be the worst player that is slated to be a starter here for this team, not only on this roster, but on any roster in the National Football League at this point, considering the way Good-Jones has absolutely stunk it up during the NFL preseason to this point. And this wouldn't be as infuriating as it is, guys, if Graham Glasgow, the best free agent center that is currently available on the open market right now, wasn't literally saying that he's available and he would entertain signing a contract with the Washington Commanders if they would just give him a call. But apparently Adam Peters and Dan Quinn think we have all the talent we need on this roster at the center position, and you know they're doubling down on this center position, and Nick Allegretti and Julian Good-Jones and Matt Golban, and think that we have everything we need here when you got a veteran of a Ben Johnson style offense and Graham Glasgow available in free agency, saying he wants to play for you, ready and willing to sign a contract right now to play for this team, and yet they're still burying their heads in the sand. And this is definitely a decision that could really hurt the Washington Commanders offense this year. And my take on the situation, guys, is if a center as bad as Julian Good-Jones gets a snap at starting center for the Washington Commanders at any point during this year, everybody involved in this organization, from Adam Peters, the GM, to Dan Quinn, the head coach, to the offensive line coach, everybody should be fired if we get to that position, because it was absolutely avoidable and you didn't need to do that. And if it comes to that, I think it's completely self-inflicted, and I think it shows a lack of organizational competence, and I think that Washington may need to seriously consider moving on from these guys if they think Julian Good-Jones is a good enough option for starting center for this team this year. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Should Washington sign Graham Glasgow today? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section. My answer to this question is an emphatic yes. Let me know your answer down there in the comment section. Now, while you answer that question for yourself down there in the comments, I want to tell you about our brand new sponsor here on the Commander's Report, which is Courtyard. Head on over to courtyard.io and use code HMA at checkout for 15% off today. Courtyard is an app on your phone that lets collectors rip digital packs of real, authentically graded trading cards, all from the comfort from your phone. And by the way, it's free to download the app and it's free to make an account, guys. And we actually are announcing a winner for our giveaway of the Jaden Daniels rookie card from last week. Congratulations to I Love Jack Sperry. I know this kind of seems like a Jim giving Pam the Employee of the Month award here, but that we did a random survey there, a random giveaway with a wheel spin. I Love Jack Sperry, whoever that is out there, you have been sent this Jaden Daniels PSA 9 mint condition rookie card. Congratulations to you guys, and we're also going to be doing another giveaway this week on the Commander's Report, guys. We'll be opening that pack up later in the week. And with Courtyard, you guys get real-time odds that are listed for each pack before you rip, so there's no loaded boxes or rigged breaks. There's also instant buybacks, so you're never stuck with a card that you don't want. Head on over to courtyard.io and use my code HMA at checkout for 15% off today. And remember, comment your username to enter the giveaway. The link is in the comments and description of today's show. Really do appreciate your guys' support, and I really do appreciate Courtyard for sponsoring today's edition of the Commander's Report. All right, so now some more injury updates here for you guys from Ashburn, Virginia at Commanders training camp. Ben Sinnott, the tight end that left Saturday afternoon's game versus the Lions early, was not at practice today, so it appears Ben is dealing with some sort of minor injury at this point, or maybe even major injury for all we know. Dan Quinn didn't mention anything about Ben in his pre-practice press conference, so I'm guessing it's not anything major, but just keep an eye on Sinnott's injury status here as the week goes on. Then the two starting running backs here in Washington, Bill Croskey-Merritt and Rachaad White, were both limited in practice today, and I don't think either one of them is expected to practice versus Baltimore on Wednesday, and neither of them are expected to play in the preseason finale either. So right now the Commanders are focused on getting these two ready for the start of the season, and that's fine as far as I'm concerned. But some good news on the injury front. We knew this going last week, but Tim Settle officially returned to practice for the first time today. Of course, Settle began his career here in Washington. Now he's coming back, and he's expected to play a lot of nose tackle for this Washington Commanders defense. So that's really great to see him out there. And now we can shift our focus here to ESPN, who ranked Washington 20th on their quote-unquote future power rankings list. Now, according to ESPN, this list projects how teams are set up. Not for this season here in 2026, but how the team is set up for 2027 through 2029, and they ranked the Washington Commanders 20th in that particular on this particular list. According to ESPN, they say in our annual future power rankings, we're not focused on the outcome of this season. Instead, we're ranking all 32 teams by who is primed to be among the league's best from the 2027 through 2029 seasons. To do so, we asked our panel of experts, analysts Louis Riddick, Aaron Schatz, Ben Solak, and Seth Walder, to rate each team's quarterback situation, remaining non-quarterback roster makeup, front office, and coaching staff. So those four ESPN analysts are responsible for this particular ranking of 20th. And on this particular article, they ranked the Washington Commanders over the next 3 seasons in these 5 categories. And coming up here on the Commanders Report, going to let you guys know where ESPN ranked Washington in each category. Spoiler alert, I think where they put the Commanders at quarterback is absolutely crazy. But before we get into the rest of today's show, I want to tell you about our other sponsor here on the Commanders Report for today's show, which is Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Preseason football is now here, and there isn't a better place to cash in on your football takes this season than with our friends at Prize Picks. The app is really easy to use. You just pick more than or less than on a few player stat projections and then lock in your lineup. And this year, guys, for my season-long lineup for the NFC East, I'm taking the more on rushing touchdowns for Jaden Daniels, the more on receiving touchdowns for Terry McLaurin, and the less on 300-plus passing yard performances for Jalen Hurts of the Eagles. So for this particular lineup, guys, it's a 6x multiplier lineup, so you can win 6 times your money in winnings based on what you put in your entry fee. If you can get all three of these projections correct and what Prize Picks calls a power play, so in that particular lineup, $20 entry fee gets you $120 in winnings from Prize Picks. And best of all, guys, Prize Picks just switched their offer. All you have to do is play your first $5 lineup with code HMA, and if you win that lineup, you get $150 in additional lineups. Because of this new offer, there's not a better time to join than right now, right before the start of football season. So lock in and win that first lineup today. One more time, that's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 lineup. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app today. As always, play responsibly, and a big thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring us here at the Commanders Report. So this is where ESPN ranked Washington in all of these quote-unquote future power rankings metrics. The roster outside of the quarterback is ranked 28th. The quarterback in Jayden Daniels is only ranked 11th outside of the top 10. Coaching is ranked 26th. Front office ranked 17th. And then the overall rank is ranked 20th. This is what Benjamin Solak had to say about the reason for hope here in Washington heading into these next 3 seasons after 2026. He says a healthy Jayden Daniels season would go a long way to evaluating the Commanders' standing here. Doubly so if it comes with a strong showing from the first-time play caller, David Blough. Perhaps more than any other team in the bottom half, the Commanders have a chance to vault into the top 5 with a reminder of Daniels' near MVP-level ability from 2024. Tons of new defensive infusions via free agency and in the coaching ranks should give that unit a shot in the arm as well. And just like Ben here, I do like the direction that the Washington Commanders are heading, especially if Jayden Daniels can return to that near MVP caliber form that we saw from him in 2024. Definitely think that the roster is getting younger and faster, like Adam Peters said, that was the goal heading into this offseason. And then I definitely like the new coordinators being brought in here. I mean, you want to talk about modern schemes in the National Football League. You think of Ben Johnson, you think of Brian Flores, and those are the inspirations for the schemes that we're running here in Washington under new coordinators David Blough and Durante Jones. When it comes to Washington's reason for concern and why they rank so low, according to ESPN on this future power rankings list, Louis Riddick says everything that surrounds Daniels concerns me. The offensive line, makeup of the receivers room, big playability of the running back room, and early competency of Blough. Daniels is a superstar, make no mistake about that. I'm just afraid we won't get to see the best of him, and general manager Adam Peters doesn't support him better. And I definitely agree with this, where I don't think the Washington Commanders have done an adequate job, yet again, of surrounding Jayden Daniels with enough talent to really get the most out of him while he's on his cheap rookie contract. And I do think it's fair to wonder if the team is good enough around Daniels to really compete at the level that they want to heading into this season. But I think that the optimism for the future definitely outweighs the concern. And I probably would rank them higher than 20th if I were ESPN, but it's not my list. However, I would say that Washington's roster here in 2024 or 2026 was better than the roster in 2024 when this team made the NFC Championship game. So if Jayden Daniels can prove that once again he is that quarterback that can elevate maybe a below average NFL roster and can be an MVP candidate for this team, the defense under Durante Jones and maybe Jones's scheme can elevate maybe a subpar defensive roster, we could be looking at the best version of this Washington Commanders team during the Jayden Daniels era, and that's a very promising outlook on this team heading into the 2027 or 2026 campaign. Then we get to Seth Walder, also from ESPN, who shared his bold prediction over the next 4 seasons here for Washington. He says the Commanders will trade offensive lineman Brandon Coleman for a nice return ahead of the 2027 season. Coleman will step in at left tackle while Laramie Tunsil recovers from his tricep surgery. Coleman has had a strong 90.7% pass block win rate at tackle over his career, including a 92.3% last season, albeit with a lot more double team help than Tunsil had. A big season from Coleman could garner the interest of another team. And I actually don't hate this prediction from Seth Walder, where we know for a fact once Tunsil comes back next season, he is going to be this team's starting left tackle. So if Coleman shows himself to be a solid starting level NFL left tackle, we know that those types of players are very expensive on the NFL trade market, and a lot of teams will pay a pretty hefty price, especially for somebody with the physical tools of Brandon Coleman, long arms, good athlete, good size, all that different stuff that you look for in a franchise left tackle. If he shows himself to be a solid one this year for Washington, they could get a really nice draft pick in exchange for Coleman and flip him for a pretty decent pick in next year's NFL draft. Now get in here, guys. Let me know your take down there in the comments. What is your bold prediction for the Commanders over the next 4 years? Let me know what you guys are thinking down there in the comments section. And what we just showed you guys, that ESPN article, the Future Power Rankings, it's found on ESPN Plus, and ESPN makes you pay $12.99 a month for ESPN Plus to see that content. But if you guys want to get premium Commanders content here on the channel every single day for free. And, we gave you the same content ESPN gave you 100% free on the channel today. I'd recommend you guys click that subscribe button because that's what we're providing for you guys every single day here on the Commanders Report. So if you don't want to miss any of our videos, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, go raise some hail.